Show your daughter how much you love her with this beautiful gift. It says, to my daughter.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and last night I went out to Mexican with friends, and one of my friends always gets the Texas margarita. See, I get the regular margarita. He told me you gotta have a Texas margarita. What he didn't tell me until I had the margarita is that they put a lot more alcohol in that margarita. So the digital asset investor is kind of feeling it this morning. I'm trying my best to convey as much enthusiasm as you can have with a headache. That's the real deal. Then this morning, even though I didn't feel good, I had to go straight to the grocery store because I'm one of those people. I will not go to the grocery store in the middle of the day during Thanksgiving. So I had to go to the grocery store to get my hands for smoking my turkey. I will be smoking a turkey tomorrow morning. And I had to go ahead and get the pans for it, and a couple other things. I even, you know what I do on Thanksgiving when I'm smoking my turkey also, it's something I don't do maybe like once a year. That is, I have a Bloody Mary. So maybe I'll take some video and some pictures of my turkey and my Bloody Mary for the members in my group at daixrp.com. And by the way, I'm about to do something crazy and you're good. And those of you in it are going to love it. I'm about to do. I talked to someone this morning, and the plan is in motion. It's crazy and it's wild, and it doesn't have anything to do with crypto, but it's going to be fun. And I'm going to involve everybody in the group. We're going to have a hell of a time. I'll tell you that. eGrag Crypto XRP. Right now, crypto. Once you spot it, you're hooked. FOMO's about to hit hard at $2. My bank account is XRP all the way. Every game feeds back into XRP. I love it. He says, once you see it, now the digital asset investor knows nothing about charting, but I'm looking at this and I'm trying to see it. I see $2. I see $40. Wait a minute. Now I see it. I think I see it. What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't know how to read the chart. I want to give Ashley Prosper a shout out. Ashley Prosper, for those of you that don't know, it is one of the most integral people on XRP X. I always call it Twitter still. That was involved in Ashley is an attorney, is my understanding, and has been integrally involved in a lot of the Heathgate stuff and always been a target. And look at what she did. Dear whoever this person is, Christopher Cardacci, the account of a prominent XRP community member, digital asset investor, was terminated without warning, true story, or notification, true story. This is completely unacceptable. I'm reaching out to you because you are part of X's legal department and have the power to advise that his account be reinstated. Terminating his account in this way is a violation of X's own policy and should be remedied without delay. Thank you for taking the time to read this, and I hope you take swift action to resolve this ongoing problem and restore the trust we had in this platform. Thank you, Ashley. And guess what, folks? Today, I met with someone yesterday. Okay, today, and it's about to be on like Donkey Kong, and all y'all out here in the XRP community, you'll get your chance to get involved. I don't go quiet. We don't sit down and take it here at the Digital Asset Investor channel. That's not how I roll. We're very likely about to I'm not interested in lawsuits and all that stuff. That doesn't mean we can't create a social media circus Elon Musk at least deserves that. No, and I'll say, look, I want to go ahead and say this. I still think that this was one of those algorithm mistake type things. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. But that doesn't mean we can't have fun with it, Elon, right? Stay tuned. It's coming sooner than you think. Now, on the CZ Binance thing, folks, I was reminded of Kendra Hill. I mean, I was going through all the Binance stuff, and I'm reminded of Kendra Hill, who said cryptocurrency will be made illegal. This is not a bait. This is a warning. Nothing is left up to chance. He said the illusion is that Bitcoin, for example, is untouchable. The reality is that the government controlled the use of government controlled and created, in my opinion, through the use of mining pools, any cryptocurrency aiming to be decentralized currency will not survive. The one that will be that we will use has already been chosen. That's back a long time ago. Then she disappeared. And then there was this. This was sent to me this morning by the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investor channel. You know him as Mr. Intuitive. Okay. We've played this before, but it's worth playing again. Now, I'm at a place, folks, where I think they're going to allow, and I mean allow, Bitcoin to survive, which is why I own a little bit of it. I don't own it because I believe in the long term, this great technology, because it's not the great technology.
Bitcoin is the greatest distraction.
Back up.
Bitcoin is the greatest distraction from the greatest disruption that is coming to financial services. I think AI is probably the other.
That's what I think is great distraction. I believe that Bitcoin serves several purposes. I've said it 1,000 times. I believe it serves the purpose of sucking everybody into the system. I believe it served the purpose after the financial crisis of, I believe they were worried about people losing faith in the financial system after they watched government a-holes bail out all their friends and not bail and pick and choose the winners and the losers. I believe it was like a hedge against people losing faith in the financial system and going straight into gold. I believe that's why they did the drop gold campaign, because they want to make you think that gold's the gold thing or whatever. Folks, gold is everything. Gold is God's. Always has been and always will be. Anything they try to convince you of otherwise, like she said, is a great distraction. Now, that does not mean that they won't allow Bitcoin to survive, and it does not mean that you can't make a ton of money on Bitcoin. I plan on making a ton of money on Bitcoin. But I think they're going to allow it to exist as long as they can control it. I think they can control it by creating ETFs. So now, this is John D. When Larry Fink said there will be a flight to quality of Bitcoin and crypto, writing was on the wall, the incumbents are coming. 1,000% right. Okay. But anyway, I'm not going to play that. But you get the picture. Now, this is interesting right here. I didn't see this. Digital Perspectives, Brad Combs said, according to Bitcoin, SEC versus Ripple, closed door meeting, SEC upcoming closed door meeting with Ripple. The SEC announcement started off with the time and the date of the upcoming closed door meeting, which is expected to take place on Thursday, November 30th, 2023, at approximately 2:15. According to the notice, the meeting will be held via remote means or at the commission's headquarters. The upcoming meeting with Ripple will see several subject matters being discussed and handled. These include institution and settlement of injunctive actions, institution settlement of administrative proceedings, resolution of litigation claims, matters related to litigation, other matters. Dates of final case revealed. Pro XRP lawyer John Deaton has recently revealed. Anyway, this is from an article, I guess. I didn't see yours. And then we had this. This is from the Department of Justice yesterday. Said they concluded that the
complying with U.S. law stifle their efforts to
Hey, Marianne, how you doing?
How are you?
Good.
We missed you last what?
Yeah, yeah. Had
Are you
some,
okay?
yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. Had to take care of some stuff.
No problem.
How you doing?
All good.
Yeah? Good, good. Can you hear me now? All right, can you hear me now? What's going on? It's not plugged in. How is that possible? Okay, can you see and hear me now? Navdeep, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. All right, cool. All right. I'm not gonna use that. Okay, so days pre-Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving, normally class is pretty sparse. Most other schools. You can't see me? Okay, I'm not really sure what.
Now I can see you.
Now you can see me?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, thanks. That doesn't make any sense. All right. As I was saying, Thanksgiving, normally the other schools have the week off, but our school, we don't do that. So we will continue to learn and hopefully, anybody going anywhere for the holidays? No, staying here? All right. Where'd that deep go? It disappeared on me. Okay. All right. So this week, what we got to do? Case study, group case study. Hopefully everybody's doing okay with that. Moving along. Okay. Make sure you stay engaged with your group members and, you know, just work together as a team. Okay. I'm not accepting any individual work. So your name's not on the final product. And that's a team decision, not, not necessarily mine. So whoever's name is on the product or the end submission, that's what I'm grading. Okay. Okay. Any questions for me about anything? No? Okay, cool. Navdeep, Amalpreet, any questions? No? Okay. Yeah, come on in. Come on in, guys.
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm great, and yourself?
I'm good.
Mhm.
All right, so
You were absent last week.
I was
Everything good?
asking. Yeah, everything's
Nice
good.
haircut, though.
Thank you. Hey, I'm fine. Sometimes I go,
Yeah, it happens.
it happens. I got
Feel the
things.
same.
Yeah, I
We need it, we need it.
can't take a vacation, so I just sometimes I take days off and take care of business.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm good. I appreciate it. All right, so we're not gonna be here too long. I thought about just canceling class, but that's not a good idea. But
Yeah, 10 minutes will be
10 minutes will be good.
Yeah,
We're gonna go a little
better
bit longer.
than nothing.
We're gonna be going long.
Miss him and now
I
you're
do
saying.
miss
Right
him.
now, it's like
I
getting.
do.
I'm ready to go
10 minutes for class, and then we can go out for dinner.
for dinner. See, this is smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week, great case study. You guys get that knocked out, get it done. Then we have about 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks left, and then the holidays, then Christmas. Okay, so then it's moving fast. Okay, very quickly. All right, today we're gonna talk about training, and training is one of those areas where HR. Okay, this thing is moving so slow today. HR manages the training for most companies. Okay, and so the whole aim of training is just basically to make sure that your skill set is adequate for the workplace. Okay, so that we're keeping up with the latest and greatest technology and stuff like that. I see classrooms. Annoying. Yeah, don't worry about it. That's just the way it is. Yeah, to make sure that I'm gonna turn it this way for a minute. I gotta get to see beautiful, all the beautiful people. There you go. There you go. So training, we're really trying to make sure that all the employees from top to bottom have the requisite skills necessary and they're up to date. Really is really the thing about training, right? And there's different types of training, all right? We have mandatory training and we have more work-related or job-related training, right? Mandatory training is training that's mandated by the government or the city or something like that, right? So you have OSHA training, or you have sexual harassment training, or those kind of things, right? Where everyone, no matter what position they're in, they have to take it every year, right? You have to take it and understand that, hey, there's ramifications and consequences, and there's ways to handle all of that, right? But in order to make sure that everyone is aware of all the rules and regulation, we have to do training to inform people and also the checks and balances for the company to say, if the government comes or something happens, we can say, yes, we did the training. Now, admittedly, it's usually cookie cutter training, right? It's more of a check in the box. It's very like, okay, we got sexual harassment training next week. We're gonna have it from 8 to 12. Just be there, sign in, and then sit down, and it's the same thing. The information doesn't change too often because we're not really getting in the weeds about, sexual harassment, sexual assault. We're just really trying to make sure that people understand that it won't be condoned and you shouldn't do it, and there are consequences to your actions if you decide to do it, right? So that's that training. Then we got the skills or job related training, which is more individual. A lot of times you can do it in groups or batches, but usually it's really focused on trying to hone in on certain type of skills based on organizational needs. Okay, like I said before, and I will continue to say this, in most classes or courses you have will always kind of echo this. Operations or what we do as a company drives everything. Okay, so the training is also driven by the operations, right? So what I mean by that is, if we are in the business of trying to open up another store or trying to expand, right? Or we want to set up a new system or something like that, right? Do we have the skills requisite within our company to make that happen? Okay. How long is it going to take for us to teach people that particular skill? Right. I think we had a conversation a couple of weeks back about Meta and Facebook and how Mark Zuckerberg has his vision in his mind, right? About, oh, I want to grow, Meta, I want to do this virtual reality, augmented reality world, right? And so his vision and the things that he has in mind, they're so far advanced, right? But the training that he needs to give to his people, it really is high end training. Okay, so in order for him to really get the people qualified to do this particular job within Meta, right? He kind of has to give them a long period of training. Okay, which is more likely not going to happen in our lifetime. Not in our lifetime, but in our working lifetime per se, right? Because it's really technical in nature, okay? And so his training is really going to be focused on how do I educate and groom and build my own workers, right? From the schools and the elementary grades and middle school grades and high school grades, right? The people that are really going to bring his ideas or his thoughts to fruition are in kindergarten right now. They're in first grade, second grade. Okay. But within the first grade, second grade, what they're learning is they're automatically learning how to code. Right? We learn math, 1, 2, 3. They're learning zeros and ones, right? They learn how to do R or Python or Java or C++, right? They're learning those things from the very beginning, right? Because as a child, they just soak that stuff up, right? And children learn very quickly, right? They're like sponges. So in order for me to get the people that I need, the skill set that I need, I have to train them, but I need to train them, based on the objectives of where I'm trying to go to, right? And where he's trying to go to, he needs to start down there. Most companies will look at what their agenda is or what their long-term objectives are and say, again, do we have the skill sets necessary? And if we don't have the skill sets necessary, how much training do we need to provide, right? And so there's different variables and different aspects of, going about providing the appropriate training to folks, right? Between how much it's going to cost, where you're going to do it at, what time you're going to do it, right? Is critical. Who's going to do it, right? It's all, and whoever's going to do it, are they competent enough? Is this something they do on a regular basis? Is this someone who just happens to, know a little bit about whatever topic it is, and they come in and they say some nonsense and they really don't know what they're talking about, right? Or is it someone that is really accredited, knows their business, and is coming in to give some valuable training that's going to help you enhance your skill set, right? So training can be, very impactful in that, as an employee, you want to develop, right? That this is part of professional development. You want to get better. And training is sometimes a leverage point for when you're hiring people, all right? Because everyone wants to know, is there upward mobility in this job, right? If I go to a job and, there's 15 people there and I start at the bottom, right? Am I ever going to get promoted to the top? Is there room to grow? All right. And if there is room to grow, what training am I going to need to get to that point? Right. You just can't, CEOs aren't made like that, right? You just can't get up and be CEO. You can do it in title. Now you can call yourself a CEO, but the things that CEOs do, you don't know, right? You have to kind of experience it. And if you don't necessarily work your way up the ladder, right? If you're an entrepreneur, this is where there's a learning curve, right? As an entrepreneur, because you don't know what you're getting into. You know that you want to own your own business, but what does that really mean, right? Well, what that means is your HR, your marketing, your operations, your IT, your everything. You're the maintenance person, the bathroom backed up. Guess who's in the bathroom, cleaning the bathroom? You are, right? And so you get this particular training, this understanding of what it takes to be the boss. You also get exposure to, how do I manage people? How do I manage a budget, right? Has anyone here ever managed a $20 million budget of straight cash, right? Has anybody managed $20 million worth of assets, right? There's a difference. Money, assets, there's a difference between the two, right? Do you know how to read a profit and loss statement? Do you know how to read an income statement? Do you know how to, go through mergers and acquisitions? Do you understand the stock market? Do you understand the economy in general, right? Do you understand arbitrage? There's a lot of things that go into being a CEO that you're just not going to learn just saying, okay, I want to start a company and go. Now, again, it depends on how big you want to be and that kind of thing, right? But if you have a good product or good service and you become big, right, you're going to grow, okay? And it's going to be out of your control, right? And sometimes you can grow too fast, right? And if you grow too fast, you really have some issues because you don't have time to train, right? You don't have time to really get the people in there and give them time to soak up some of this new stuff that you're trying to teach them new skills and that kind of thing, right? And there's some jobs that it's inherent of the job for training that they have to get trained, like sales. Salespeople are always training because they're always thinking about new techniques and approaches on how to get customers, right? How do I close the deal, right? If you ever had a sales job, did you have sales? No? A little bit? Yeah, right? You know how the sales world is, right? It's always constant, like, okay, close the deal, close the deal, close the deal, close the deal, right? How do you close the deal? How do you get through challenges, right? Oh, hey, we got this product. No, I don't want it. Well, what do you think? There's 4 or 5 different options to give the person, right? Because for whatever rebuttal they have, right? But that all goes through training, right? I tried sales. I didn't like it. I was terrible at it because somebody says no. I say, all right, cool. You
I
can't.
think even after training,
Mhm.
you have to have some like soft,
Yeah.
people skills
You have to,
also.
exactly,
Because
right?
sometimes you know all the theory, but
Yep.
then some people are just naturals at that.
Yep.
They know how to convince other people.
They
in
know
a
how to
way
talk.
that is
You gotta be a good liar.
Yeah. No, you have to be a good liar. You gotta be persuasive.
persuasive for sure.
Persuasive. Not to
Yeah.
lie. You don't want to lie to the customer. Not right away. You lie later on, right? Not right away.
He's a terrible salesperson.
Yeah,
He's already
you know.
telling you that he lies.
He's a lie, yeah.
If he tries to sell you something,
I don't know.
Everyone lies.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
I trust King, so I know he's not gonna sell me some baloney. Okay? But you're right. There's soft skills, which is also part of training, right? That's another aspect that companies go into because you have to have people skills if the job demands it, right? If you're in front of people all the time, you have to have customer facing skills. You can't be brash. You have to always be like happy. Yeah, okay, let's go. Even in the days when you don't feel like it, right? Right. You just gotta be ready to go. Okay. So, on training itself, it's just the matter of, hey, how can we train our folks up to the point where it becomes a competitive advantage? Okay, to where my people are so skilled and they're so trained up and they so are on top of what's new and what's innovative that the other companies can't keep up. Right? This is something that this is why there's always a fight for talent, right? Because that's why the people, companies recruit out of Harvard and Princeton and all these other schools, right? Because they think that all the talent or there's talented people there automatically. Well, there's not, but they're not all talented, right? But because of the school, you're gonna get into a job because of the reputation of the school. That's basically it, right? But at the end of the day, all you guys have gone through some form of training, right? No matter what, even orientation, even when you first enrolled here, you went to student orientation. That is training, right? That's student training. It's like, hey, the bathroom's here. This is the curriculum. This is the way the modules go. Okay, they're 8 weeks. Every week you have an LE and a quiz, right? Week 5 or 6 you have a case study. Week 8 we have a final exam, right? There's a paper due, and then this is how many classes you got to take. Yada 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 yada. This is how you pay the tuition. This it's all training, orientation. Okay. Same thing in the corporate world. We all have, well, we should have orientation when you get a new job. Okay. That's not always the case. Okay, because depending on the company and how big it is and how busy it is and how many people they have, all this other stuff, you may or may not get a good orientation. You may just get someone that's just your kind of go to, like, hey, you got any questions? Ask Mary, ask Case. They will help you, but they're not going to do any formal training here. Okay. All right. So most, not most companies focus on strategic training, right, at the higher levels, right? So when it comes to CEO, the C-suite, right, they are focused on things that are going to add value to the company as a whole. Okay, that's what we're thinking about. We're not thinking about individual training, right? I don't care if you can't type 50 words a minute. That's not my concern. My concern is, do you understand what we're doing here? Do you understand your job? Right? You'll get better at typing. Right? We'll send you the training for typing, right? But I don't want to send you the training for your job per se. Right? You should know your job. Now, are we going to send you the training to improve on your skill set? Absolutely. But I'm not thinking about individual training, right? I'm thinking about what training is going to help propel the company as a whole to the next level. Okay. I need 15 people that can do this. Okay. I don't care who it is, when they do it, how they do it. I just need the skill set resident in our company. If we have one person, right, we can say that we have that skill set resident in our school. Okay. And so strategic, training is really focused on adding value to the company, but in a way that it's not necessarily focused on just the individual person. It's focused on the company and its objectives and where it wants to go as a whole. Right? Sometimes assess whether training can actually address issues. So one of the things that you will run into sometimes is that if someone's having problems or issues, the manager will say, hey, I'm going to send you to training. Okay. But training doesn't always fix everything. Okay. The answer is not always training. Sometimes it's a personal issue. Sometimes it's just maybe my computer's slow, and I don't realize it. Sometimes it's, more of I don't like working with such and such. We don't get along. We clash. Or sometimes it's more of I don't understand this concept. Not that I don't understand the whole thing. I just don't understand this concept. But once I get this concept down, I'll be fine. Okay. And so training is not the end all be all. It doesn't fix everything. And it shouldn't be used as that, right? Managers and leaders need to step in and be mentors and give guidance, right? Training is there as a formal tool to help improve on deficiencies, depending on what that deficiency is. But we're not in the business of, just making training like, hey, you don't know anything, go to training. And then when you come back from training, they expect you to know everything. Like, no, that's not what training is for. Okay. All right. So investment in training. All right. Companies understand that if you put money into training, you're more likely going to have a better workforce. All right. Because training not only training does a whole bunch of stuff. First, it helps you break up the monotony of work. Right. You're working. You've been in the company for a year or something. Sometimes it's good to break away from your desk and say, "Hey, I'm gonna stay in training for a week." No matter what it is, just to you to get away from whatever you do, right? First thing. Secondly, as I said before, training can be used as a leverage point to say, hey, you know what? Come work for our company. We have a great professional development program, right? We're gonna get you all these certifications. Okay, you come and then every time you get a certification, that might be a raise, okay, or it might be a promotion, or it might be at least we're gonna see and look at you and say, okay, this person can move up or groom you for the next step, right? Because now you're being exposed to something else. You have a new thing within your toolkit that the company can leverage. If you're the only person in the company that can do a certain thing, that's a benefit to you and the company because the company can say, yes, we have somebody that is familiar with, coding or AI or machine learning or, sales or whatever it is, or marketing or biotech. Okay. So it definitely is important. The next thing is, I was talking about the instructors, right? Or the people that are delivering the training. Right? They tend to be the most expensive part of training. Okay. The people that are actually giving the training. If you bring on an external force, right? An external company, right? So when I'm not here teaching, sometimes I consult, I do some training, right? So I go out and we do leadership training or we do team dynamics and that kind of thing, right? And we charge anywhere from $1,000 for 2 hours to $5,000 for half a day. Okay, depending on how many students we have or how many people we have to train, right? The more people we have to train, the more money we get, right? But on average, if you have a week training for 25 people, it's gonna cost you about 10 grand, right? That's relatively inexpensive. That's not too bad, right? Because a lot of cost that goes with training, right? But this tend to be the biggest cost, and also it tends to be the area where if you're not careful, you will get a team or people that aren't, adequately trained. They don't really know what they're talking about, right? They're gonna give you a poor training session, right? Which is not helpful to anybody. Okay. So you have to make sure that you vet the training group, right? Whoever's coming in to do the training, you have to check them out. You have to make sure that they understand what they're talking about. How long have they been doing this? Are they, recognized within the industry? Has anybody ever heard of them before? Right? You doing this out of your kitchen in the home? Do you have a website? You got a business card? What is it that you do? Right? Let me see it before I say yes and I sign a big contract and give you all this money to train my people. All right? So you gotta pay attention to that. Okay? Training can definitely help with employee turnover, okay? Because again, it can serve as a benefit. Right? I was saying you to this training to get more stuff, whatever it is that you want. And that's the good thing about having individualized training. You can kind of see training and see a training seminar, a program, and say, you know what? Hey, boss, I like to go to this training right here. And your boss may say, oh, we'll see if we have the time. Because normally it's about the time or if they're willing to let you go. And sometimes they're not willing to let you go because that means somebody else has to do the work while you're gone. And probably be them, right? And they don't want to do that. But it's a very powerful tool to be able to use to say, hey, I'm going to hire you, but I'm also going to train you, and you're going to be better than when you came in. When you leave, if you leave, you're going to be better, right? You're going to have a more robust skill set that you can take and go to another company, and then now you can command a higher salary, a higher position because you have all this skill set and exposure, right? You got training and you got experience. Okay. Here in your classes, you're getting training, right? When you go to the workforce, they're gonna hire you because you have the training, but what you're getting is experience. right? And so when you first get that first job after your master's program, then you'll stay there a year or two, and then you'll probably like, oh, I want to go to another position. I'm gonna get promoted, right? Well, you have the training, you have the experience, so now they can promote you to something higher, right? And so training can be useful in that sense. All right. So as I said before, right? Training is linked in this way, okay? Organizational strategies, all right? As I said before, right? What are the objectives of the company? That's always the most important thing, right? Here we have as an example, increase sales, expand into overseas market, develop new product lines, right? But then what are the necessary outcomes, right? What do we need to do to make sure this happens, right? We identify key sales element and training the sales force, all right? Cool. What are the training activities associated with that? Okay. So if you go backwards, you should really assign each one of these training activities to some outcome that attaches to some organizational strategic point. Okay. They all have to go back to something over here, right? Somehow they have to connect, right? If they don't connect to here, somewhere in there, then the training is not necessary. Okay, it's not that it's not necessary. It's just that it's not going to add any value to the company. Right? If you are a fashion designer, okay, and your boss comes to you and say, "Hey, I'm going to send you to a coding class, a coding training," and you like, "Why would I need to go to coding training? I'm a designer. Why need coding? I don't need to code." All right? They go, "And it's we're offering it, and it'd be good for you just to go check, see coding. Like, I'm not interested in coding. I don't like coding. I don't like anything techy, right? I'm an artist, that kind of thing, right? There's no connection going back to the company, and it's not adding any value, right? To Ralph Lauren or Gucci or Yves Saint Laurent, whatever it is company you work for, right? Coding is not going to do anything for you, okay? So it's important that whatever the training is, if it's not individual personal training, right, that it definitely goes back to some organizational strategic point, right? And that's really the key at the end of the day to having effective training and not wasting your money. Is to making sure that, hey, when we look at the strategy that we are approaching or that we're using, do our training activities align with our operational strategies, operational objectives? If they do, great. If they don't, we need to relook at them, right? Because sometimes these, right, won't necessarily be able to match up with these because these may be outdated. Okay, these probably aren't, right? Oh, we want to, jump into AI, or we want to, I don't know, give everybody. Oh, this is a good one. When they were giving, when a lot of companies, when iPads first came out, and companies were, restaurants were using iPads, they had people order and using iPads for everything. Everywhere you went, everybody had an iPad. Car dealership, iPad. McDonald's, iPad. It didn't matter where you went, they were all using iPads, right? The training here might have said, oh, we want to improve, customer service or improve, improve our technology in some sort of fashion, right? The training activity was, hey, teach everybody how to use iPads. That's great, but when you look around now, nobody's using an iPad, really, right? It's outdated, okay? The objective is still there, right? But the training activity doesn't match, right? We need to figure something else out, right? How do we go about, innovating? How do we go about improving customer service, customer satisfaction? It's not through iPads, right? It may be through some other technology that's new and up and coming, right? So training is always a moving train. It's always you're trying to progress, move forward, right? You're trying to stay on top of the newest thing. You just have to decide what new thing you're going to try to implement based on what's going on here. Okay, that's really your kind of your criteria. Okay. All right. So we got knowledge management and we got learning culture, right? Knowledge knowledge management is basically, knowledge management is basically how we control all the, I guess, proprietary information that within our company, right? How do we manage all the intellect and all the corporate knowledge that is within our company, okay? And so understanding that there's a knowledge center a lot of times within training or within operations, where if you have a question about something, you can always go to the knowledge center, right? Which is operations, or maybe it's in HR, or maybe it's in, someplace else, right? But we are trying to make sure that whatever we know, whatever it is that is our core knowledge base, that is contributing to us being, part or owning a majority of market share, right? Apple, Samsung, Nokia, BlackBerry, they all do the same thing, right? But each one of them has a certain different approach to how they do it, right? And so within their knowledge center, right, or their knowledge management process, right, they are leveraging that in order to be competitive. For Mac, if you know anything about Mac, they have an SSD drive, a solid state drive, which is different than a PC or Microsoft, which has a spin drive. All right, it's just different, right? Does it work for Microsoft? Yeah. Does it work for Apple? Yes. Different technology, right? But how everything works and all the intricacies of the things that go on Apple, they're in the knowledge center. If we're managing or not, because we don't want that information to get out. Because if it does, people will use it and they're just gonna reproduce the product, right? They're just gonna bootleg it and they're gonna make their own thing, right? Learning culture is basically talking about the culture of the company. Okay, not every company has a culture where, hey, we want you to learn something. A lot of companies don't really care. They just want you to do your job, and as long as you're doing your job, they're fine, and the money's coming in, they're fine. But what tends to happen is that those companies tend to lose people because as much as they don't want to think people want to learn, people want to learn. People want to get better because getting better means I get promoted. Getting promoted means I get more money. Getting more money means I can do more things with my life. I can retire earlier, or just have more money in general, okay? And so having a learning culture, you want to convey to the workforce that, hey, we're always out here trying to get better, right? We always want you to develop, right? And professional development, it doesn't include just your skills as far as like, oh, I can type, I can read fast, I can code, I can do whatever. I'm a great designer. It's about also your mental health, right? Your professional, acumen, how you comport yourself with your colleagues, right? Do you work well with teams, right? Do you have an anger management issue? Okay, those are all part of the learning culture because we work together. And as much as I'm trying to figure out myself and what's going on, I need to figure you out too, right? I need to figure out who you are as a person. And you see at work, you form a lot of good relationships at work, right? You have a lot of friends at work and a good working relationship. And because you're starting to get to know the person, but you have to have a culture where they enforce or advocate for learning, right? Being open-minded, right? Not being myopic as far as like tunnel vision and just it's one way to do it and that's it. No, if you have a learning culture, you know that what, I know this is the way we do it, but I'm thinking that I might have a better way of doing it, right? Let me check it out and see. And you won't be afraid to try something new because a lot of companies, they will stifle you if they see you trying something new and it's not within the paradigm of what they told you to do. They're scared that you're gonna waste money, right? Instead of saying, you know what, give it a go, see what happens, right? Check it out, because it may be something where it's like, oh my goodness, like, wow, this is fantastic. We're gonna save ourselves like $1 million, $2 million off of this idea, and then next year be 4 million. So learning culture is important, right? Performance training learning must be integrated, and then sales training. I'm not worried about that, right? But you have to find a way in which to find time to train, which is the biggest I guess, thing that companies don't do well. They can never find the time to let their people go train. It's always an issue. Hey, I want to go to this training. When is it? It's in 2 weeks. When? It's in, it's in October. That's the busy time. Like, it's, fiscal year's ending, yada, yada. Okay, well, let me go in the summer. It's the light time. There's not a lot of people here. So, it's going to be thin already. All right, well, let me go February. It's the snowy time. It's always something, right? People, leaders, managers specifically, don't let their people go do the training because there's lots of training opportunities out there within the company that the company will pay for. The thing is that HR, the company itself, we can't dictate when you go to training. It has to be your supervisor, your boss, your manager that says yes, she can go to training or he can go to training, right? And in many instances, a lot of managers are scared to let you go to training because they're scared to lose their job to you. Because you come back and now you know more than they know, they start to get threatened. And so they feel threatened, it's not good. Because now they're gonna not send you any more training because they're scared that you're gonna get promoted, they're gonna boot them and they're gonna put you in the spot, which never happens. Okay, it just doesn't happen that way. Just because you go to training, you learn some other new stuff, doesn't mean that someone's gonna take your job, right? Because they don't have the experience you have. Okay, they know something new, but it's nothing you can't learn either, right? Matter of fact, a lot of companies they do something called train the trainer, right? You go, you get the training, you come back, you're gonna teach everybody else. Okay, that way we maximize the money, and no one is threatened by the fact that Marion is out here getting all this training, she's coming to get my job. No, we sent her to get the training so she can train all of us, so we all know. So don't worry about your job, okay? But a lot of managers they get nervous about it, okay? All right, some legal issues for training, all right? So, one of the things that you will run into is that, again, managers and leaders are very, they may be selective of who gets training, right? And that's a no-no, okay? If someone is eligible and they have to go to training, and you should let them go. If you let another person go and you don't let that person go, you should have a really, really good reason as to why. Okay? You should have a really, really good reason as to why you don't let people go to training. If you don't have a legitimate reason as to why, you won't let people go to training, then you're probably going to, as a manager or leader, you're probably going to fail, right? Because not only are, your employees or the people that work for you, they're going to be mad. The people that you work for are going to be mad because they're like, hey, your team is not getting any better. Your team has been stagnant. There hasn't been an increase of productivity or efficiency, or the products coming out of your team haven't really been that great, right? It's kind of like if you work for like Nike or some retail apparel or whatever, some clothing line, right? Those guys are always going to training, okay, and they're going to training to find out, hey, there's this new stick, this new material that I heard about. Okay, we're gonna send you to Paris for a week over to such and such because they're the ones doing it and they're the leaders in the industry of this particular new technique. So we're gonna send you there for training for a week. Okay, they come back, and when you come back, then you have a new skill set, and it helps the team as a whole by just not sending anyone, and we don't get any better. Okay, yes, are we maintaining what we're doing? Sure, but the aim is to get better, not to be stagnant in what we're doing. Okay, consider only job related factors. Okay, not only the thing you should look at. You should look at, is it going to help the person develop in a professional way, in a personal way? Okay, is it going to help the company? Right? Yes, is it going to help the job? Sure, of course, it's going to help them do their job better, hopefully, right? But it just can't be just that, because you don't always get training that you can apply right away, okay? Or at least see the results, okay? There's some training that you can do, and as soon as you get to work the next day, you can use it. You can try and see if it works, all right? There's other training, you get it, you understand it, but it takes a little time for you to really see whether or not the training was effective, right? So you gotta take that into consideration. Compensation, right, for training outside of work hours, okay? Typically, most companies are going to make sure that the training occurs within working hours, right? But we have to send you off somewhere, you know, I don't know, some other country or some other state or city. You have to make sure that you compensate that particular person for that mileage and that time, right? Any night that you don't spend in your own bed is a compensable night. So they have to compensate you for that. Which
live, ooh, like 8 hours? Oh, like,
not
like the whole day?
yeah, they have
24
to go,
hours?
yeah, they have to give you your pay. You still gotta get paid, your regular pay, and they have to give you per diem, and they have to give you travel, right? Because they're sending you, right? So you still gonna you still gotta. It's like you're going to work. You're just not going there. Oh, you're going someplace else to train, right? But they also gotta give you money to
But
eat.
for the whole day, even if because you're gonna be training what, like maybe 5 hours a day or 6 hours, and then they have to pay you even when you're outside, like let's say the space you're training.
Yes, if
Yeah.
if it's for the day, yes. If it's for the day, it's 8 hours is considered a day. Whether if the training takes 4 hours, it takes 3 hours, it is what it is. But if the training takes, the whole day, the whole work day, right? Then they have to pay you. Now let's just say, the training is from 9 to 4, right? But you're also in New York, right? You got to get paid for that, right? This is where the per diem comes in, right? We're gonna give you money to eat. We're gonna pay for your hotel. You need a rental car more than likely, right? We're gonna pay for the rental car, right? We gotta pay you for gas and all that stuff, okay? So they gotta pay all the expenses, which is basically what it boils down to. You can't make the employee assume the cost of training. It's illegal, okay? And some companies will try to do that. They'll try to put the bill on you, right? Oh, just pay the hotel, we'll reimburse you, which is fine, right? If the process works, right? And in most instances, I think that's how it still is. Most companies will issue you a credit card when you get with the company, depending on what level you're at. Okay, so they'll give you a company credit card, and it'll be activated only when you go to training. So you go to training, you pull out the corporate card, there it is. You need to buy something, there it is. When I worked at Toyota, I had an American Express card. Okay, and then if I needed to do something, right, and I always had to do something because we were always dealing with dealers and just events and stuff. If I need to buy something, hey, we need some balloons. Go get some balloons. All right, go get some balloons. Here's my card. Boom, get the balloons. Okay, it's not coming out of my pocket. Coming out of company funds. Okay, so I may have to put a reimbursement form in, or maybe I have to put in something, to get my gas reimbursed, right? Because I drove my car over to get the balloons, but nonetheless, I use a corporate card, right? If you don't have a corporate card, normally they'll find somebody that has a card and let them do it, or they will say, we're going to reimburse you. Fill out the forms, put the receipt, send it in, and you'll get the money back, right? So most companies will use a credit card or some form of, something like that. So you don't have to come out your pocket. Because sometimes, like I said, sometimes they'll send you to training and it won't be here. It'll be, it'll be in London. You want to buy a ticket to London from here? Do you want to buy one? A ticket from London? A ticket from here to London? How much you think that costs? Yeah, give or take. Yeah, depending on when it is, right? But 6, 7, up to $1,000, depending on what it is, right? Hey, buy it and we'll reimburse you. Wait. I don't have $1,000 or $600 to just be buying, and then you want me to pay for my food, and then you're gonna reimburse me when I get back. Like, no, you need to buy the ticket, you need to give my per diem, right? All this stuff. So they do all this stuff up front. Okay. Some companies do it different. Some companies give you 80% of the per diem, and then they'll give you the 20% when you get back. Okay. And usually per diem, I know for mileage, it's I think 56 cents per mile if you drive now that they have to reimburse you. But that and then gas, if you are, going out, and they're paying you to eat, they have to pay you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Depending on the area, right? Every area has different per diem rates. So San Diego probably has one of the higher ones, so you're probably getting about $60, $70 to eat per day if you go to training or if they send you somewhere to do training or conference or whatever the case may be, right? So making sure compensation, okay? And you got your OSHA requirements, occupational safety hazard administration, right? Those folks, health administration, excuse me. Those folks kind of are the people that monitor the workplace for safety, right? And do you have any carcinogens? Are the fire extinguishers okay? Do you have a fall program? Or everybody know what a fall program is? Lockout, tag out. Lockout, tag out. So depending on what industry. So fall program is basically if you work with heights, if you're high up, right? You have to have there's a protocol fall program, and what it is, it tells you how to secure someone, how to be safe at high elevation. Okay, 3 points of contact, hooks here, hooks there, that kind of thing. Lockout, tag out is more for like people that are working with maintenance and electricity. Yeah, right. So, hey, make sure if we're working on the power grid, right, on electricity, we need to let everybody know first thing. Secondly, we need to cut the power to this particular thing because if you don't, you're gonna kill me, right? So you put a tag in there, right, and it says lockout. That way, everybody knows like don't turn the power on, okay, because if somebody's working on it, it's locked out and it's tagged as such, so everybody can see it, right? And then when I'm done working, I'll take the tag off. You can turn the power back on, right? So it's called lockout, tag out. So there's a bunch of these programs for a building, right? For facility, for a workplace, and depending on where it is, manufacturing plant or whatever the case may be, it'll be really, really complicated or advanced. For the school here, pretty simple. The only thing they're worried about is, disability stuff, right? Are the aisles big enough for a wheelchair to come through? Do we have a ramp outside so people can come into the building? Are there elevators so you can get to the next level if you're handicapped? Fire extinguishers, are the fire extinguishers up to date, right? Are the lights good? Is the the temperature okay? That kind of thing, right? So they do all that. All right. So now we get into the real meat and potatoes of the training, right? So designing and delivering training. All right. So when it comes to the designing and delivering training, you are not necessarily going to be doing this, okay, as an HR person, right? Unless it's internal training. Okay, what I mean by that is most of the mandatory training is typically internal. Sexual harassment, sexual assault, money management, maybe even leadership or whatever mandatory training there is, right? Compliance and that kind of thing, right? Those are normally internal because typically those are very subjective, right? Depending on the company you're with and what you guys do, there's certain rules that apply to, let's just say, finance that don't apply to, IT, right? There's certain things you have to follow, certain rules we have to understand within one industry that aren't relevant to another industry, right? So those tend to be very subjective, and those are usually done internally, okay? So here, we do a lot of internal training, okay? Dr. Vasquez may do some training with us. I may do some training, right? Depending on what it is, right? We'll say, hey, Dr. Herring or Dr. Sharif or whoever, hey, can you do this training here? Like, okay, cool, we'll get the training. And it goes to the staff training, right? once every quarter, we have a staff meeting or a staff training. We come in on a Friday, we all come in here and we just, whatever it is, we train on, right? Whatever they decide to train us on, we train, right? Then there's the, kind of more specific training that has to do with jobs, okay? Or with your particular, whatever your thing is, right? Whatever your work is, right? And so you have to do that. But that itself sometimes will be, internal, depending on, the severity of like if it's one person that I'm trying to train, I'll probably just have somebody within the office train them, right? But if I'm trying to train people on a new skill set or we are going in a new direction and I need everybody to understand a certain thing, I'm probably going to find an outside consulting or outside training agency to come in and train my people, right? What I want to see when I go get them or when I hire them on is, okay, show me your approach to training. Okay. And what I mean by that is like there's different ways in which to train and to teach people. Okay. Here in a university setting, because of the usually large numbers of people, it's the best way is through PowerPoint, right? Or through a large presentation, sort of, right? We don't really have a lot of practical application here, right? I don't typically, we don't typically go, I say, okay, hey, we're gonna go upstairs, we're gonna talk to the HR department upstairs, right? We don't do that. Okay. Everything here is theoretical, everything here is from a book, PowerPoint, right? We're listening. There's other training that's more we call tactile training, right? Hands-on, right? And it's some training that you just really can't understand unless you do it, right? And so that training is designed differently than the training that we get here. Like when I was in the military, right? When we trained like this first, right? You get it on the PowerPoint, and then say, okay, now we're gonna go out and execute. Okay, see, how we can build muscle memory into what we do. Okay, and so the design of the training, how we employ it, right? Um, how we do it, right? How we deliver the training is just as important as anything else, right? When we deliver the training, okay? Where we deliver the training. So one of the key issues when you design the training is, okay, do I want to do the training on site or off site? All right. So what do you guys think is the benefit of having on site training? You know what I mean? On site, like on the premises of where the organization is at. What are the benefits of that?
You don't have to pay for like transportation for
Right.
employees
Mhm.
that's gonna be there. Like they can just do the training 3 hours and then keep working for the remaining of the shift.
Right, exactly. Okay. What are some of the cons?
Maybe they're not gonna absorb that well because they're inside of the
Yeah, same pro and the same con.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, it's great. I can basically just go downstairs, go to training, 4 hours, and then I can go back to work. But the con is that I'm also still in the building. Somebody can come down and say, hey, I need you. Hey, come. I have a problem. Like, what? I'm in training. Yeah, I know, but I need you. So now you gotta leave the training, right? And then now you gone for the rest of the day because there's some fire that you gotta put out because they know you're there, right? And so you have to decide, do I want on-site training, do I want off-site training? When you do on-site training, that's kind of the things you have to think about. When you do off-site training, the cost is what you're really concerned about, right? And people getting there, because it's different than when people just coming to work. Off-site training, the venue matters, okay? And then if I decide to do it off-site, I also have to figure out how am I going to feed these people, okay? Where's everyone coming from, right? I have to assume that everybody's coming from the office, right? Or from work, from home, and then to the venue. But if the venue is 10, 15, 20 minutes further from the job, I have to take that in consideration. What time do I start the training, right? Even to the point of what topics do I teach in the morning what topics do I teach after lunch? Because in the morning time, some people aren't morning people. They don't absorb very well, right? It takes about an hour or so to kind of get things going. After lunch, they're useless, right? They're full, they're tired, they're sleepy, right? They just don't want to do anything. So you have to kind of pick, you have to be really careful about what topics you choose and when you choose to teach them because you will put people to sleep or people will leave, right? So when you talk about off-site training, you're really talking about cost, okay? How much is it going to cost? What are the associated costs with feeding the people, the transportation as far as per diem, for gas, for mileage, those kind of things, right? And then I have to worry about, the instructors and them and paying them and making sure they're good. I have to worry about the state of the venue itself. What kind of place are we getting, right? Is the AC good? Is it too cold? Is it too hot? Is it accessible? Is there enough parking? All these little things that you wouldn't think about go into, designing the training and making sure that it's good to go. All right. So when we talk about time for training, and Marianne had brought it before, the soft skills training, right? Nowadays, right, this stuff is even more important than ever, right? Because our communication really is diminished in capacity, right? Most of us, about 75% of the time, we're texting. Okay? If you really think about it, we're texting. I think this is probably the most interaction I have on a daily basis with my students. Talking. Okay? Everyone else, they texting me, they're emailing me.
Much easier. Sometimes you cannot pick up a phone call, but then you're gonna send a text.
No,
at some
yeah,
point.
no, it is convenient. I'm not gonna say it's not. It is convenient. Yeah, it's convenient because you can do it and still be doing so many other things, right? The problem is that you lose that interaction, that human interaction. Right. There's no social cues. There's no body language to kind of interpret, right? So I'm sure that all of you have this situation before where somebody sent you a text and you looked at it and said, "What?"
Yeah, you get it wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, you're the other way.
Because there is no
There's no emotion. You can't tell it.
No emotion, no
Yeah.
no facial expression.
Nothing. You can't tell, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if the person in front of you, you're
Yes.
like, "Oh, yeah," you be
Yeah.
laughing, right?
Yeah, I always fight with people over text.
Yes, always.
Whenever face to face,
Right.
never.
Never.
Never. Yeah.
Email the same thing, right?
Yes.
There's no, social interaction, so we've lost that. So these soft skills are even more important because nowadays there's a lot of problem with conflict management, right? People don't know how to handle stress. They don't know how to handle conflict. They don't know how to handle adversity. Okay, at the slightest inkling of, hey, someone doesn't agree with you, people sometimes like, I don't want any of that. I'm gonna back up. Or they just right? You have to learn how to sit down and just talk, hash things out. Okay? You can't do it over text. You gotta learn how to do it. And so some of the soft skills that you have, in sales really they have all this stuff, right? Interpersonal communication, because all that stuff is important, right? Get the person to relax, get their guard down, find something that they are passionate about, find something you have in common with them, all these tricks and the trade, right? But at the end of the day, you're really trying to get to know the person, right? And some of it is conflict management because someone may say, "Hey, I don't want that," or I'm sure all of us you've gotten calls from telemarketers, right? A telemarketer calls you, and you're like, "Hello, hey, I'm calling. We had this great deal on trips to vacations, or have you ever thought about getting solar panels on your house? I don't own a house. I don't need solar panels. Okay, well, how about you want to a water system to purify your water? I just told you I don't have a house. I don't need that. Okay, I live in an apartment, and I can't do anything about the water. Okay, I can if I wanted to get a filtration system, but I'm not paying for that because I can't take it with me, right? And so those folks, right? Imagine their job of getting. I know I hang up on them all the time. When telemarketers call me, and if the first time I say no, I'm good. I try to be polite, and they keep badgering me. I hang up. I don't got time. I
You
don't.
even pick up. I don't even pick up if it's like a no ID caller or I don't know
Right.
the number. I don't even pick up.
Yeah, most people don't. Sometimes I will because I do different things, so people call from different numbers, and I never
You
know.
never know.
And so, and then sometimes if it says scam likely, then I know okay.
Yeah, but sometimes those cameras are funny.
Yeah,
You can just talk with them and laugh.
yeah, no. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes you find a good one. You find some funny one. They're really nice, and you really want to buy what they're selling, but you're like, I don't need it, and I don't have the money anyway, all right, to buy it. So call me back next week. Maybe yeah.
Just leave the number.
Yeah, call me back next week, and I will pick it up. What time is it, Mary? You-
It's
Okay.
6:41.
Okay.
We're bringing the coffee, huh?
I would just get.
No, go ahead. Let's take a break now,
Okay.
and then come back in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Good idea.
Yeah,
You
that's
want
fine.
some coffee?
No, I'm okay. Thank you. I'm trying to
Do you
save
like
caffeine.
coffee?
I do, but I'm trying to save caffeine.
Only at the daytime. Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, just in general.
We'll bring you some decaf.
Yeah. I need some decaf with some tea. I hate, but
Be dramatic.
I know. Yeah.
No, but anyone. Like, no, like, you're like on this couple life.
Like, look, I love cook, but I don't necessarily like cook all the time.
baby, your baby.
Yeah, we're talking about food, right?
Mhm.
You want to know what do you know how to
You want to know? Yeah.
What I know to cook?
Yes, because
Oh,
every time I ask Americans, what do you cook? What kind of food do you have? It'll be burgers.
oh no,
burgers.
no, burger. That doesn't count.
They have nothing but burgers, mashed potatoes.
No,
That's
no.
what they say.
Well, I'm not. I'm
I asked
Caribbean.
Americans. That was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
friend-
Okay. So yeah, that's
yeah,
why
we're
you have.
Caribbean.
It's not 100% on America.
Yeah.
Because of that
But
Yeah.
percentage
Was-
that saves that.
was
don't.
born and raised here, so.
Yeah, I was born. I was born.
But
Yeah.
is your are your parents both from the Caribbean?
Yeah, my whole family.
So
But,
they
they were born-
grew up there.
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
So they taught you
Okay,
how
so-
to
I'm
cook
first
like
generation.
dishes.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
I'm first
So
generation.
yeah, they're still
Yeah,
stuck
so-
with.
I bet the
some-
food is nice.
with the
What is a
culture.
typical Caribbean?
Probably peas and rice, beans and rice.
Beans and rice.
Yeah, beans and
Yeah.
rice, curry chicken.
Mexicans.
Um,
They
Mexican
they
as well.
It's
prefer,
different,
like,
it's
fish
different.
or
Yeah, it's
chicken.
different.
we use both.
Both.
Yeah, we use
Okay.
both, but it's more traditional. Where it's probably closer to Brazilian food.
All right.
Brazilian cooking.
Yeah, Brazilian
You
cooking.
have
then-
a lot of
Yeah,
Brazilian
rice
kitchen
and
is so
beans.
good.
We have some things kind of from the Middle East, but not
Alright.
not as much. The Middle Eastern food is a little different.
It's kind of different.
Yeah, it's
yes.
different.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
But I've never tried to cook it.
Uh-huh.
But I try to cook everything. Like
Nice.
you
Yeah,
know,
so you're
I
not
just-
stuck
yeah.
with something.
No,
in
I-
What is
particular.
your favorite dish that you enjoy?
Yes,
I like to make fresh pasta.
Fresh
Like,
pasta.
like I make it. I make the pasta.
No,
yeah,
like,
you
Yeah, I have
like
the
you
pasta.
need it
Yeah, I
and
need it.
then you grate it out.
like
Wow.
spaghetti, what
Depends. Pappardelle, bucatini,
Wow.
ravioli.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. Still working on my sauces, trying to get better, but what else?
That's good.
I cook duck. I cook lamb.
I've never tried duck.
Yeah, duck is delicious.
Lamb is so good.
I
I've
love
never
lamb.
tried duck.
I cook lamb all the
Is
time.
duck better than chicken? No.
It's different.
Yeah, probably the skin is thick.
The
no?
skin is thicker, just a little bit. It's oilier.
Oh,
Duck is very oily.
Yeah, it would be similar to fish, let's say. No, because fish
Mhm.
is oily.
No, duck's just oily.
Just oily.
Yeah, it's an oilier meat. And then I do a lot of fish. I do a lot of shrimp,
Fish is so
scallop.
good. Shrimp, yum.
mussels,
Oh,
lobster.
Lobster.
Yeah, stuff like that. I try a lot of French dishes. Beef Wellington, schnitzel. I mean, it just depends. It just, I just,
You have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Because to cook
Right.
this stuff in so many dishes
It's
that
fun.
I'm already having
It
a
is
headache.
fun.
it's fun.
It is
Well, I
fun.
don't memorize the recipes. I go and I look
Yeah,
and say,
you-
what do I
okay.
need? And then I get it all
And
set
let's
up, and then I
let's
kind of
just
go,
do it.
and you kind of taste, see how it tastes. Okay, you're gonna go there, see how
Yeah,
it tastes.
yeah,
and go
just
there.
some trials,
Yeah.
experiments till you
Yeah.
get
Nice.
the.
But it's not every day. Like on a regular
It's not every
basis,
day, yeah.
like
Yeah, like 3 times a week.
3-4 times. I make
Yeah,
enough
that's good.
leftovers, but
Yeah, leftovers and then.
usually I
fine.
have I make I like quinoa and I like risotto. So I make
Risotto,
risotto.
that's
Risotto is
Italian.
so good.
That's
Italian.
Italian, right?
Yeah. Yep. I make risotto sometimes and quinoa.
Oh, quinoa.
So I can not eat as much rice and beans. Or sometimes I make
Yeah.
Spanish rice and beans or Mexican,
Mixed
rice,
the red
the
one.
Caribbean, pigeon peas, rice, the red beans, rice,
Yeah.
black eyed peas. It's there's a whole
So
bunch
yeah,
of
most of the
good stuff.
food you make is healthy.
yeah.
It's healthy.
That's
You
true.
make like just like a complete meal. Yeah. You get
Yeah.
your proteins, carbs.
Carbs, yeah. I don't eat as many carbs as I used to, but I need to get back on it. I like to cook. If I see a recipe, I'm gonna try it. I try meatloaf, beef
Uh-huh.
stroganoff.
Wow.
I do all, but I do like hamburgers.
Yeah, but it's not something that you're gonna eat like every day, you know.
No, I could eat a hamburger every day.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, I can eat a hamburger every day. But I don't. But it's just it's an easy thing to make. You just
Yeah, just eating anything comes in handy.
it comes quick and then when you finish, you know,
Yes,
you want a
it's gonna
really
be
good one.
healthy, tasty, and
Yeah,
it's gonna be better than
Yeah.
eating outside
yeah,
and even cheaper.
yeah. And I make my own French fries. You know, I normally
Yeah,
make
just
plantain.
freshly
Like, you know,
sliced. Yeah, better.
I feel like if I have like a nice kitchen, like this
Right,
individual
yep,
kitchen,
yep.
I would
People
feel
cook
like
on it.
super inspired to cook.
No, you will.
But my kitchen's like
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
tiny and annoying, so I'm like,
The bigger your kitchen, the more
yeah,
likely
and when it
you want to
looks
cook.
like nice,
You're
you know,
right.
It's
and
clean.
the utensils.
You got all the utensils, the pots, all the stuff you need, like, and you got a glass of wine.
Yeah.
The music's going.
And you know what? If you have someone to clean after you,
It's even
gonna
better.
be like
Yeah.
heaven.
Do a little,
I
do,
can clean after you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
volunteer.
you do a little cheese board.
You tried my food before.
That's true, it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, see, that's why you gotta bring some stuff in.
Yeah.
I'll bring some
For us
stuff.
to eat.
Yeah,
you know?
Mediterranean.
I love Mediterranean food, and I
Yes,
love
I do.
sometimes. I don't know if you remember Dr. Gubati.
What's that, doctor?
He was the president before Dr. Vasquez. He's
No.
Iranian.
I believe I've
Persian.
seen him before. He's Persian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him before.
Well, you know Dr. Gorijan.
Yes.
Yes.
She's his wife.
His wife, yes.
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 I know this guy.
Yeah.
I've met him before. Yes.
So sometimes I'll go to their house and they're like, come over and eat. I say, okay.
Of course.
Run over there.
By the way.
She's such a good cook. She's a great cook. So I get all the Persian
That's so nice.
food. Oh my god. It's so
Yeah, they
good.
have good spices.
Yeah.
They spice.
Teenagers don't invite people to go over and eat. They invite to drink.
Yeah,
And
no.
there's
Yeah.
no food involved, so I think I'm getting.
Wait, Brazil?
No, here.
Oh no, yeah.
Like my friends only
They're
invited me
Persian.
to.
They don't invite you to eat. No, it's
Yeah,
a drink.
They're Persian. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah, we don't.
They have.
I
They
like
don't
my
drink.
friends like
They don't
that.
drink.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
say,
they
I
don't
don't
drink, right?
drink, invite me to eat.
Yeah, but they don't drink.
Yeah, they don't drink too
They like
much.
to serve.
Yeah. Yeah, American, they gonna invite you to drink.
Yes.
Let's go meet at the bar. Let's go
Yeah.
go get some drinks.
Yeah, but don't come hungry.
That's our yeah. Don't come hungry.
Come
There's
full,
no food
and
involved.
You have to tell them like, hey, we need to go someplace where I can get something to eat.
Yeah.
Because I like to eat when I drink. Because if you drink and don't eat,
No.
it's
It's
comes to
bad.
problems.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, it's not good. Doesn't get better when you get older either.
Yeah, I just.
Okay, one thing more before we move on, right? In addition to the other soft skills, diversity and inclusion, what we call DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is a big thing now in the workplace. Just because we are so globalized now, right? And so we have so many different nationalities and cultures and yes.
Hey, what up?
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
What's up? What's up?
Good to see you.
Good you too. What's up?
Everything is good.
Yeah, we just you just thinking you're checking me out, making sure I'm good.
You know this guy?
Of course I know this guy. This guy's one of my favorites.
Yeah, thank you.
No, this guy's
I feel bad for you because you have this guy.
he's one of my favorites too though.
Oh, okay.
You know, I got-
And you're wearing a nice shirt. That's
Yeah, no,
right.
he got a nice shirt today.
Yeah,
man.
you know, I had it since 5 years.
Oh,
It's like brand
it
new.
looked brand new.
Because I don't wash it.
Well, I don't know if that works. You might need to watch it. At least there's a dry clean. What's going on?
Nice haircut.
I appreciate
Like
it.
it.
You know,
I'm still
I-
the same like that.
I changed my hair up, maybe last week it was, but 2 weeks ago it was different, right? Last time you saw me was
Yeah,
different.
it's different.
Oh, it's changing.
It's good to see you.
You
I'm
too.
saying hi.
Every Thanksgiving, well, I knew you guys don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but
So you have a break, right? Yes. You got. Okay.
So diversity and inclusion, because we are globalized, in so many different cultures and nationalities and different values and moral systems and that kind of thing. We want to make sure that everybody feels like they're included and they're part of the team and they're not being isolated, right? And so diversity and inclusion doesn't just include, different religions or, different mindset. It includes gender, right? It includes LGBTQ. It includes all those things, right? So you want to make sure that you make people feel inclusive and they belong to the company, right? And so they had a really big push on it for a long time, and then lately, in the past year or so, there's been a push against it. because certain people feel isolated. They feel like the diversity and inclusion doesn't include them. Okay, it's supposed to include them, but at the same time, when you have the majority that are in power, right, and you're trying to get a balanced, level playing field, yes, they're gonna feel like they're no longer part of it, right? Because now it's like you're up here and and you've been treating these people here a certain way. We're trying to get everybody on the same level. You start feeling like, oh, wait a minute, you're gonna take some of my stuff away, right? Like, no, we're not trying to take some of your stuff away. We're trying to get some of it too, right? We're trying to be equal. We're not trying to take it away. We're just trying to be equal, right? So diversity and inclusion is a big deal, and it really is a big push, and gonna it's gonna be more full and more important as we go on down the road, especially as we become smaller and smaller as a unit, as a world, I should say, right? More connected. We talked about orientation earlier on about what happens at work when you first get there as far as a new job, do your orientation. And that really is a form of training, right? To come in and say, hey, this is where the bathroom is, this is how this goes, and this is general stuff about the company, okay? Who the CEO is, who COO is, where their offices are at, how does the company work? What different locations do we have? What different facets of the company, we have going on, our R&D, what are some new projects and new things that, are coming on board? What's our plan for the next 5 years? Different speakers come in and give you insight on the company. You get to meet the kind of the big players within the company and some of them. And you get to just kind of familiarize yourself with the entity, with the organization. So there's a couple of studies that show that when people have a good orientation, they tend to stick with the company longer, right? When you have a bad orientation or don't get an orientation at all, you tend to leave the company. Because if you get a new job and you go into a company the first day, you walk in and then they just say, okay, that's your desk right here, sit down, and then we'll come find you. You're just sitting there, you don't know what to do. You don't have a computer, you don't have a password, you don't have a username, you don't know where anything is at, you don't know what's going on. You see people running around like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? I have no idea, right? And so you start to get kind of, not depressed, but you start to feel like, okay, what am I doing here, right? I don't want to waste my time, right? And so you want to have a good orientation, at least someone that's attached to the new person to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel included. Like, hey, you know what? Let me show you around. Let me show you what goes on. And then you just shadow me for about a week. And then next week, we'll get you started on what you're really going to be doing, right? This is going to be your job here. All right, let me show you the reports that you need to do. Let me show you some of the projects that we're working on that you're going to be part of, but we're going to give you a little time to get acclimated to what we have going on here, right? And so it's important when you look at, the orientation and trying to figure out, does the orientation work? Okay, and some of the triggers and some of the things you can do that with is the 10-year turnover rate, right? How long do people stay, right? On average, people are at the company 5-6 years. That's not bad, okay? On average, like let's just say McDonald's, for instance, right? People go to McDonald's to work. What do you think the average time is for someone who works at McDonald's?
2 years.
2 years? Yeah. Okay. Normally, they're younger kids who are in high school, right? Or they're older people who are retired and just want something to do. Okay? And so they don't stay long.
Well, there is not much to grow in my phone.
There's not, you can. It depends if you want to grow, right? You can become a manager, and then the managers usually end up being owners because they get an incentive to buy a McDonald's, to open one up. Right? They get a reduced price, and McDonald's helps them buy a McDonald's because McDonald's wants to expand. Right? So if I'm going to have a manager and you want to own a McDonald's, cool. I'll help you do that. No problem. Because they know at the end of the day, this training here is going to benefit them. Right? So they're going to help with that. But, how long is somebody at, what's the turnover rate? If somebody comes in, we get new hires, we have 10 new hires, and then within 2 weeks, half of them are gone. we got a problem. Okay, that's not good. We're wasting money and time, right? New hire failure factors. Basically, people come in, like I said, they don't like it, they're not happy. The first day, right? We had a couple people the first day, they came to the job, and the next day they didn't come back, right? Sometimes it's just the fact that they figure out that this is not going to work for them, this is not what they want to do. Sometimes it's overwhelming for them because they feel like they're not going to be able to perform adequately, right? And you got to remember that everyone here started day one, okay? And that we all have our shortcomings, our deficiencies, and we're all working towards getting better, right? And the only difference between you and I is experience. You've been here 5 years, I've been here 5 minutes. Okay? Eventually, I'll be here 5 years, you'll be here 10 years, or whatever the case may be, right? So it just takes time. Employee upgrade rate, okay? What's the rate at which people get promoted? Okay? And the reason that this is the indicator is because the faster you become acquainted with the company and what the company does, the faster you can kind of get to your job. And the more likely you're going to be good at your job because you understand what the company is about. You understand the mission of the company. You understand all the ins and outs. You know all the players in the company. You know where to go. You know how to maneuver. When you get a good orientation, you know who to talk to. When you don't have a good orientation, you don't know who to talk to. Oh, get this report to such and such. They don't give you a name. Just get to the VP of marketing. Where is marketing at? I don't even know where the building, where's it at? Is it downstairs, upstairs, around the corner? Who's the person, right? So people that are familiar with the organization through orientation, they have a better sense of who's who in the zoo, and they can move a little better, right? And the development program participation rate, of course, that kind of lends itself to basically, I understand there's stuff within the organization because during orientation, they're gonna lay out like, hey, if you stay here long enough, we have all these programs, all these training options or opportunities that you can get into if you really want to help you get better, right? And so that helps people to stay longer and stick around, right? And give you good orientation, right? All right. So the last thing I'm going to cover, and then we're going to leave, okay? Because I just think it's time to go. Right? Is ADDIE, okay? ADDIE is just a design process, okay? But it really, aside from, giving it an acronym, whatever, it really is just a really scientific or just approach to problem solving, right? So you have assessment, design, development, implementation, evaluation. This is just the scientific method at the end of the day, really, right? Assessment, you're going to look at the problem, right? What is my issue, right? You're going to do an analysis, right? What is it that's going on? Do we have a problem, right? Is there something that we need to fix or make better, right? We're going to do an assessment. We're going to design a plan. We're going to come up with an approach, like how are we going to do this? Are we going to, just throw money at it? Are we going to break it down and then start all over? Like, what are we going to do? Okay. Then you have development. Now that I know what the problem is, I know how I want to fix it. Now I'm going to develop all the resources and coordinate all the pieces that I need to coordinate and put together. It's like cooking, right? I know what I want to cook. I know where I want to cook it, how I want to cook it. Now I got to get my pots, pans, salt, all my ingredients together, okay? Then I cook, all right? And then evaluation. People eat it and it's good or not, right? Okay? And so it's the same thing throughout life, right? This process here is what we use to design the training, right? To make sure that we don't miss the mark on providing adequate and appropriate training, right? We don't want to provide training that is not going to be a benefit to the workforce because a lot of times employees will leave training and you'll ask them, so how was the training? What'd you get out of it? Honestly, I don't know. Nothing. It was stupid. The instructor was dumb. Or not dumb, they were not knowledgeable. They couldn't answer any questions. I feel like I just wasted my time. I didn't get anything new. Did I know the stuff? No, but I didn't see any value or benefit to it for what it was taught. And so those are the things that you need to get as far as feedback. And they should have a feedback option here too, because the feedback is critical to HR and the organization, because then we go, hey, next time we're not going to use that company, or we're going to say we did that training is not effective, or that training is not valuable, because the employees don't really get anything out of it because they can't really apply it to anything that they do. So we need to know that though through a feedback loop, right? So feedback is at the bottom of this, right? Because after every training, there's a survey or some kind of questionnaire where we ask the employees, 5 or 10 questions about the quality of training, the quality of instructor, the quality of the venue, what do you even think about the food, the lunch, like those kind of things, right? What do you think about the time that we're doing the training, right? They're gonna ask all those questions because we want to get the training right. We want to get the training to be as effective as possible, and we want to have what we call transference, right? We want to have transfer, right? And when we talk about transfer, we're talking about, hey, I'm teaching you something, and you're learning, and you're able to take that information I gave you and actually apply it. That's how I know you learned, right? It's called transference or transfer, right? When you can do that, then I know the training has been effective, right? Like, and you see it more in more immediately in more like technical aspects, right? Like for my statistics class, right? When I do my stats class, I can tell right away if the information transferred. I can tell learning is going on, because if I'm doing standard deviation and the students are looking at me and I say, okay, I threw a problem up there, and they kind of, yeah, we saw what you did, Dr. Cage, but we can't do it again. Like, you have to go. So you go through it a couple of times, right? And then the third or fourth time, you won't hear anything. Next thing you know, I'm like, got it, right? I can do it now. That's transference, right? That's how I know learning is occurring, right? But I can't tell in our class now. I can't tell that, right? It's gonna take me time, and even with time, it's not. My metric will probably just be how successful you are as a manager or leader. To say, well, yeah, 10 years ago, I remember I had a class with Dr. K's in HR, and I remember he talked about this. I don't, I gotta look it up, but I have this situation, and I think I remember him saying this, but I'm gonna look it up some more, right? That's when transference happened, because you remember us talking about it. You remember some of the details, but like, I gotta do more research to make sure I understand all the nuance of, does that particular concept apply to the situation, and how I can apply it to what's going on for me. Okay. All right. So make sure finish up the rest of this PowerPoint, the 2 PowerPoint, chapters 8 and 9. Get that done. Quiz, LE, and case study. Okay, so we got a lot this week, it's a holiday week. Okay, so get it in by Sunday night, Monday morning at the latest. All right, that's all we got.
And just one quick question.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
the case study,
Mhm.
you mentioned you don't want like blog citation or like academic citation, like on the papers and.
Yeah, I mean, you could use a blog citation, but it can't be the only citation
Got it.
used. It can't be your only reference. It needs to be. You need to have more blogs, Wikipedia. They just can't stand alone,
Sure.
right? You need to have peer-reviewed journals, or reputable journal articles, or articles from, like, even a newspaper, or articles from a magazine like Time, or some
Yeah, But if it's something like Forbes or sometimes
Yeah,
Harvard
no.
has like
Harvard-
just articles that are not exactly
Those are good.
articles that are not exactly like an academic
Harvard Business Review.
report.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Also.
That's fine.
Okay, cool.
That works. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right. Zoom. Any questions on Zoom? Sajindar, Navdeep, Amanpreet, any questions? I know you can't see me, but no, nothing. Anyone home? All right, everybody eat turkey or something already. Okay, well, have a happy holiday. I will see you guys next week. All right. Like I said, get your stuff in. Any issues, email me. I'll be around. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. And I'll be at home cooking something. All right. I'll see you next week. Okay.
I'll see you.
All right, Zoom. We're gone. Zoomers. My Zoomers. Zoomers, I'll see you next week, okay? Zoomers checked out.
Have a good holiday.
You too,
Love
thanks,
your
Maria.
days. Enjoy.
You too. Thank you.